Hey everybody, it's Nick. Today is the start of my channel, honestly. The first series that I talked about in my introduction, and if you didn't see it, I'll go ahead and link it in the description. It's just a run through of basically everything I want to do. But I mentioned that the first series that I want to do is a relationship series per se. I want to go ahead and get rid of the sap and gross crap to begin with, because, well, it kind of hurts, to be honest. It's something that I don't exactly want to talk about, but I feel like I need to. So, about a month and a half ago, I was basically greeted at the door by my fiance saying that she didn't love me anymore. And I know that sounds awful, and I know that sounds like something that most people couldn't recover from, but dear God, did it hurt. It was probably the most painful thing that I've ever gone through, and I understand. I get where she's coming from, and I know the whole cliche, if you're in love, you never fall out of it, and I agree to that completely. But I guess if I'm not what she wants, that's okay. I wish her the best, and I don't really want to get into any details that are more or less pertinent to the situation. She's important to me, and like I said, I do wish her the best. So anyway, this video, what it's going to be is basically describing all of the things that you should and shouldn't do after a very major breakup. Now, this isn't including, like, oh, you just went on a date and they didn't call back, or something to that nature, or you're texting a girl or texting a guy and they just stopped talking to you. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is long term and how to start the process of getting over that. Basically, in the beginning, you're going to feel probably the worst pain you've ever felt, and I'll be honest, it is going to get worse before it gets better. This is probably about a week and a half into, and this is, again, take this however you want, because this is how I went through it, and I can only speak for me. I can't speak for anybody else. I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't have any kind of formal training in any of this stuff. I just know what I've been through. Anyway, it gets bad about a week and a half into it. And then somehow, some way, it slowly does start to get better. Like I said, the events that transpired happened about a month and a half ago. And I was lucky enough to get closure with her. I talked to her and actually got to figure out exactly what went wrong and what to fix in the future. But if you don't get that, my first advice would be to go hang out with a bunch of your friends. And if you don't have friends, find something that you enjoy. There has to be something that you enjoy in this world. Like, something that I did when me and her broke up was I bought a new Pokemon game, and I just sat there and I played it and played it and played it. I think it was Pokemon Platinum. I've put 100 hours on it in the past month and a half. It's just something that I've done to cope, and I do have friends. Whatever, but they live a couple hours away apiece, and it's sometimes hard to get a hold of them when you need them the most. Another thing you can do is, if you have a family or anything like that, and I'm really sorry if you don't. It's something that pretty much everybody needs in this world. But if you have a family, don't shut them out. Don't push them away. Don't isolate yourself and hide somewhere, because hiding is going to make it a lot worse for you. It's going to make it a lot worse for everybody involved in the process. Basically, you should fight as hard as you can to, and I know this is going to sound weird, but try to keep them in your head. Force yourself to know that yes, you love them, yes, you care about them, but you don't want to anymore. You can't. The people that say, oh, you need to just not think about them, they're lying. Because you can't just go from having someone in your everyday daily life to never seeing them again. It doesn't work like that. So what you should do is think about them, but think about them in a negative connotation. Think about them in a way that you would think, I don't know, say somebody did something that was awful to you in your past. Do that. Just think about that. Like, for instance, I got bullied my freshman year of high school, and it was a girl that more or less they kind of played a game on me, that because I liked a girl, and they said, oh yeah, the girl likes you too, and you know how that goes. So that's pretty much where I put her, and I thought, well, she's pretty much doing the same thing. You can't just go cold turkey, never thinking about them again. It doesn't work. Just try to give them a negative connotation, and not saying that you should go and run your mouth and say, like, oh, this person did all of this stuff that never happened. And, like, some girls, and I'm not saying all, and I'm not even saying it's all girls, but some people, like, cry rape or something to that nature if they don't get their way. That is definitely not the way to handle it. No sane human being does that. Let's be realistic. So, basically, don't shut yourself out, and try to put them in a place that doesn't make them as important in your life. Some things that you should definitely not do is you should not sit in your room and sulk. I have already said this kind of, but do not just isolate yourself. I'll be completely and totally honest, it doesn't work. I sat in my bed, which is directly behind me, for days. I'm not saying I slept, because I didn't. I sat in my bed for days and just pondered everything. It's not the way to do it. Can't do that. Because that's letting them win, basically. It's giving them all the power in the world. And you can't do that. So, the next thing that you shouldn't do is, I know this is going to sound very obvious, but don't turn to a bottle, don't turn to pills, don't turn to smoking pot, don't turn to a bad habit, because that person, again, is going to ruin your life, potentially, of course, because they left you. That's not okay. They shouldn't have the power to ruin your life because of something that they did. If you have any kind of, like, addictive habits, especially don't do that, because you will push yourself down a really dark path, and that's not something that anybody wants to see you do. The last thing I'll say that you probably shouldn't do is try to replace that person right off the bat, because again, it doesn't work. What you're going to end up doing is, I know people talk about a rebound all the time, and that's basically the concept that I'm getting at. When you try and get on social media or something like that and just automatically go for another girl or go for another guy, all you're doing is replacing that person, or trying to, in a way that all you're going to be doing when you're with the other person is thinking about your ex. Basically, I tried to hang out with a girl about a week after me and my ex broke things off, and we sat in the car and drove around for I think maybe 5-6 hours. I couldn't get my ex out of my head. Every time that my friend talked, every time she even said a sentence to me, all I could think about was her. And I know that's not the same for everybody, but it's got to be in your head. So, my situation is different than everybody else's situation when going through a breakup, but I promise you that it does get better. I know you probably love this person very, very dearly, and I do still love my person very, very dearly, but that doesn't mean that they need to hold all of the power over you. That doesn't mean that they get to control your life. That doesn't mean that they get to own you. I know it's easy for me, being somebody that has never met anybody, more than likely, that's going to watch this video, for me to just say, oh, you don't have to think about this person. Oh, you don't even have to just leave that person out of your head. I know it's not easy, but the best things that you can possibly do are to surround yourself with a great, great support group, and just don't lead yourself down a dark path, because it's not worth it. It never will be. So that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and next video for this series will be about once you've actually moved on, and that's about where I am right now, and I want to discuss what you can do after that, and maybe what you can do in between the stage of absolute rock bottom to building yourself back up to where you deserve to be. So, like I said, I hope you enjoyed, and peace.